Welcome back. Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today this could be a fun one. We're going to be comparing the Kershaw AM4 with the knife that it was designed after, the Almar Falcon HD. And both of these knives have some very nice qualities, and I'm going to give you my opinion on whether I think, this knife is worth it. Whenever I saw this knife and I actually got it in hand, I was rather shocked to see that Almar knives would actually allow Kershaw to make a knife to this caliber when this knife right here comes in. You can get it now, I think on KnifeWorks for 150 bucks, and this guy right here comes in $35. That's a $115 difference. So let's dive in and see, the similarities and the differences of the two. And hopefully after I'm done, y'all can make a decision on whether, if you've been on the fence wanting to buy this knife, whether it's worth that price to you. Just because of the huge price difference, sometimes that doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't buy this knife. I personally wouldn't have bought it myself, or this version at least. But I picked it up on a trade with a guy on Instagram, and I wanted to do this comparison. So let's see what we got here. Okay, the Almar Falcon HD blade steel on this guy is AUS 8. And the blade steel on the Kershaw AM4 is 8CR 13 MOV. Now, I know that these two steels aren't world apart, but through my testing and my experience, I've tested a lot of knives in AUS 8. I've tested a ton of knives in 8CR, and there is a pretty substantial difference between these two. Not huge, not leaps and bounds, but it is definitely an upgrade in steel, no matter what anybody says, or at least through my testing, the AUS 8 is an upgrade in steel. Now, does it warrant $115 more? I don't think so. All right. With the HD, you get a 4-inch blade, nice tactical knife, and on the AM4, you get a 3.5-inch blade. So you get a 1/2 inch more blade on the Almar HD. They both have the same exact grind, spear point grinds with the saber grind on them. The actual Almar is thinner behind the edge. It comes in right at .022 behind the thinnest part of the edge, and it's a pretty decent slicer. You have decently thin blade stock. I would have rather see a nice deep hollow grind, but I think this is more of a tactical knife than anything. I think that's what it was marketed as when it first came out. I mean, you have that very aggressive tip on there. This guy, the thinnest point comes in at .030. So this one's more of a robust edge, about the same stock thickness, if not the exact same. They're very, very close. This one may be a hair bigger, I'm not sure. Let's see. The Almar has no jimping, which is kind of shocking because, like I said, this is more of a tactical knife with that 4-inch blade, more for thrusting. You do have this choil for your finger to lock in. It does lock in pretty good, but it is rather slick up here. The Kershaw has some effective jimping. It's not overly sharp, but it does bite into the finger. And you also have this finger guard from the flipper tab. So I would say this one locks in a little bit better, even though it has this nice slick contour G10. Both have very well executed sharpening choils. I love to see that. As you can see, that edge stays the same thickness all the way to the back. I have sharpened this guy because I dulled it out through some testing. And as you can see, I haven't sharpened this one yet. I'm still testing this guy out. But even though the edge is a little wonky back here, they did execute the sharpening tool just right. I love to see that. You know I'm a stickler for that. On the HD, you have nicely textured G10. It's not cold steel texture. It's not your Emerson texture, but enough texture to give you some grip, but it's not going to shred up your hands. It's not no sandpaper. On the Kershaw, you have some beautifully polished G10. I haven't seen a production knife, especially at this price point, that had this nice of G10. I love to see that. And as you can see, it's 3D contoured on both sides. Very, very nicely done. Definitely give you the fit and finish on this G10. I'd definitely rather it over this. But you can get this model in the same type with polished G10 and polished micarta, but we're talking about this knife here. The ergos on the HD are, we're just going to say they're okay. They're not terrible, but as you can see, this has got flat scales, so it's rather blocky. You have a very, very small chamfer around the whole knife. Nothing super sharp. I will say the inside of this liner right here is sharp. It wasn't, the edges are 90 degree. You do not have a chamfer right there. I would have liked to see a chamfer, because whenever I was squeezing hard, cutting through cardboard, I did feel right here in this area, my finger fat kind of slipped into that area and made it a little uncomfortable. The ergos on this guy are really nice, no matter what grip I hold it at. Really, really nice. Like I said, you have the 3D contour G10 and everything softened. I don't have any sharp areas around there. So I'd give the ergos to this guy. I will say the pocket clip height, whenever I'm bearing down really hard, depending on like where I grab the knife, sometimes that height of that pocket clip can cause a hot spot, but I didn't notice it to be a problem through the testing I have done on this knife so far. Let's see. On the HD, you have pin construction, which I'm not a fan of. I like to service my knives. Even though you can pull this out, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's just not the easiest in the world. You can adjust the pivot, which that is nice. I do like to see that. But I'm going to give it to the Kershaw on this one, because you can completely take this one down for any kind of maintenance. You get something, sand up in there. I mean, I know there's ways to do it, and I do know how to clean a knife that's pinned, but I just like to be able to get in there, make sure everything's fine. So I'm going to give that one to the Kershaw. On the HD, you have a closed-off construction due to the stainless back lock, and you have the forward back lock instead. Well, I guess it's not a back lock. I guess it's a forward lock. So you won't be able to blow through the knife if you need to, use some compressed air to blow out the dust. I use a Q-tip or a cotton swab or something to clean out in there. One thing I did notice, disengaging this lock bar, the edges on this were rather sharp, and they're still kind of sharp, and I knocked it off with a ceramic rod. But as you can see, it's a 90-degree edge. You can see it kind of shiny where I kind of ran a rod over there because it was rather sharp. On this guy, you have complete flow-through constructions with these nice red hourglass standoffs that were done very, very nicely. I love that pop of color. You can easily blow this out with compressed air. The disengagement on this is a stainless steel frame lock. And I will say, even though I can access it pretty easily, with this coating on there, that jimping is ineffective, and it is a little slippery, but I can reliably do it 90% of the time. I can also do it left-handed, no problem. Alrighty. So I give the open construction to the Kershaw just because that's what I prefer, for ease of maintenance. The deployment on these guys. Now, the deployment of this is a manual opening, It's rather smooth, as you can see. I can easily one-handed open this, close it. I don't see any washers in there, so it may be like the Spyderco Cali. It may be just riding on the stainless frame, which is fine with me. Like I said, the action is not hindered. It's very smooth on this. This guy is a speed assist. It's got a nice snappy action, but I'll take manual over assisted any day. So I'm definitely going to give the win to the HD. Also, this flipper tab is not chamfered at all on those jimps, and it is a little sharp whenever you're deploying. Nothing major, but just something to be noted. The weight on these guys. Now, this is very impressive for, I think it's almost a 9-inch knife. You got a 4-inch blade. This guy, let's see if I can show it to you, is very nicely skeletonized in there. I don't know if you can see those holes with the reflection. Let's see if I can show it to you this way. Well, just take my word. There you go. There's nice skeletonization through there. So this guy comes in right around 3.25 ounces, which I think is absolutely amazing, especially for your tactical high-speed, low-drag people. This guy, being a stainless steel frame lock, it comes in at 3.6 ounces, 3.06 ounces, which is not bad for a stainless frame lock. But I'll have to give that to the HD for the, look at the size difference, and, you're pretty close in weight. Let's see. Let's go to the pocket clips. On your HD, you have a normal pocket clip, a good bit of the knife sticking out of the pocket. I'm not a real big fan of that. I like their logo and stuff. I like the pocket clip, but I'm not a fan of that much sticking out of my pocket. It just feels wonky. It does give you a good bit to pull out. You do not have a lanyard hole in either one of these knives, so I guess it's not bad to be able to have something to pull out, but I'd rather deep carry. So I'm going to have to give the win to the Kershaw. It has a nice deep carry clip, but I will tell you, if you're wearing thick pants, they did not recess the screws in there, so it may bunch up before it gets to that. So you may be having that much sticking out, but you still have more sticking out of the pocket on this guy by a little bit. So I'm going to give the pocket clip, and this is just my preference. If you don't prefer deep carry, then you might go the other way, but I'm going to go with the Kershaw on the pocket clip. Both of them are easy to get in and out of the pocket. The Kershaw is a little bit easier, being that you have this slick stainless finish right here, and you do have Texas G10. Both of them have the same amount of spring to it, but the G10, gives you more stability in the pocket. Let's see. The HD is a completely ambidextrous knife, thanks to the front lock, or whatever you want to call that. You got thumb studs on both sides. This guy, even though you can do it both ways, this one is a total ambidextrous knife. This one you can go tip up, left or right hand. As you can see, you can put the clip over here. This one you can only go tip up right hand. Sorry about that, lefties. But so if I'm going to give versatility, it's going to be to the HD. But one thing I'll say, yes, you can swap this clip, and like I said, you're going to have a lot sticking out, but this is just ugly, and that's how they come. That's just a spot to move the pocket clip over here. I thought something was missing or something was broken on the knife when I got it, but when I looked in the pictures, that's how it comes. So that's just an aesthetic. It's not hurting the knife at all. We talked about the ugly hole. Okay, so let's go over. You got the bigger blade here. You got the little bit of upgraded steel here. You have a manual operation, which is something I really like a lot. You have some very nicely done grinds on the HD, which the grinds on there are pretty good as well. You have your back lock or mid lock, whatever you call that. And you have a totally ambidextrous knife. With this guy, you have steel that's, somewhat comparable, not super, super far off. You have very, very nicely done, contoured, G10 polished. Everything's matching, the screws, the torque screws. This one's torque construction, flow through construction. You have your deep carry pocket clip. I'm not a huge fan of the torsion bar, but at the price point, I can look past that. So my final conclusions are the Almar is definitely a great knife, no doubt about it. But in my eyes, it's a really outdated knife. This thing, if they would have, they could have kept all their same designs, but if they would have upgraded with the times, kept up, even this knife right here, I'd be happy to pay $80 to $100 with VG10. And you can get it with VG10, but it's still in that $100 and something category. This knife would have been an absolute home run at $150 if it had the ZDP 189, but that one is a discontinued model, and I think it was in the $200 and something price category. So I just think if this knife could be updated, it would be no doubt about it. But I will say, if they did an updated run of this knife, bye-bye. I already thought it was a dumb move for them to do it, as it is, because you're not getting that much more for your money with this one. So I'm going to stick with recommending the AM4. You're not going to get that much more out of your blade life. Not $115 more. Do I like this knife? Sure. Do I recommend it? I recommend it if it's just a design that you love. You want that extra blade length. You want, the Almar name and the collectability of that. If that's the case, then sure, go ahead. But do I think it's overpriced? Absolutely. That's just my opinions. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the description down below. That was the reason why I put this on my top 10 for 2017 in the budget line. I think it's well worth it. Definitely one of my favorites of the Kershaw group for 2017. So I will say that this model with the full flat grind, I find it much more attractive. I saw it on Cedric Anada's channel. I may pick one of those guys up to do another comparison between that one, but being that these two had the same blades and everything, these two were the most comparable. And this was one that I could pick up. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Like I said, leave me comments down below what you think about that, what your pick would be, especially at the price point. If you like the video, please smash that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Come on now, you don't want to miss anything. I hope this knife therapy session was good for you guys as well as for me, and I'll see you next time. Peace.